Between two worlds intersectionality. Adopted Asian Americans negotiate race, family, and culture to form identity and belonging. They blend historical, institutional, and personal perspectives that illuminate the intersectionality nature of living between two worlds. Smithsonian Asian American Adoption History describes how Asian American adoption developed from the Cold War until today. The article explains that by the late 1950s, Asian children, especially Korean adoptees, were portrayed as symbols of American humanitarianism. Adoption was framed as a rescue mission during the Cold War, but the article also shows that the system later became shaped by race and class. This source gives the historical foundation for understanding how ideas about charity, culture, and identity were built into transnational adoption from the beginning. On the left is Closa Trent, a Smithsonian Leadership for Change intern. Supporting identities. Holt International, Supporting Adoptee Identities, focuses on how to support Asian American adoptees as they develop their identities. One of its main points is that cultural connection is more than celebrating the surface level traditions like food or holidays. It explains that adoptees also need deep culture, including everyday representation, community, values, and history. Holt International explores how continuous cultural education prevent feelings of disconnect and give adoptees a stronger sense of who they are. I wish my parents had talked more openly about race. It would have helped me understand that being different was nothing to hide. National Council for Adoption, Lived Experiences of Adoptees, talks about an interview with two transracial adoptees who share their personal experiences growing up in mostly white environments. These first-hand stories highlight the emotional side of adoption, how race, family communication, and identity development are connected. Their voices show why open conversations about culture matter for adoptees, for their confidence and self-understanding. The Center for Public Integrity, Chinese Adoptees Seeking Belonging, discuss how many Chinese American adoptees might feel caught between two worlds. They're not fully American and not fully Chinese. They discuss how many adoptees were separated from their cultural roots by early adoption systems and limited cultural discussion in their families. The Center of Public Integrity explores how long-term effects of cultural loss and emotional reality of trying to find belonging between two different identities and the struggle between two different worlds. When I look in the mirror, I see an Asian face, but when I speak, people tell me that I sound white, says Wu Emily from Mochi Magazine. She writes an essay describing that looking in the mirror, she sees an Asian face, but is told that she is white. She talks about the tension between her appearance and her upbringing, and how she eventually found clarity through connecting with other adoptees and learning Asian American history. Her story shows how identity forms through relationships, representation, and the freedom to explore cultural roots. From Yes Magazine, The Trauma of Transracial Adoption, it is written by Hannah Yang. She tells that adoption cannot erase race. Even with love, the world still sees her as a person of color. She explains that love alone cannot protect adoptees from racism or identity struggles. She argues that families need to acknowledge race instead of avoiding it, and her perspective shows that healing requires honesty about race and recognition of adoptees' lived experiences. The American Bar Association says that the myth of colorblind adoption overlooks the reality of that adoptees of color experience racism both inside and outside of their families. It says that ignoring race can make adoptees of color more vulnerable to discrimination, both inside and outside of their adoptive families. The article explains that when parents recognize and discuss racial identity, adoptees develop stronger resilience and self-awareness. This source shows how family communication and racial acknowledgement for support can support a healthy identity and development. To sum it up, the Asian American adoptee identity is shaped by history, family culture, and race. It illustrates that the experiences of living between two worlds, feeling loved and belonging, but also navigating cultural losses and racial realities across personal stories, historical contexts, and discussions of family dynamics, revealed that identity isn't something adoptees simply receive. is something that they build by reconnecting with culture, talking openly about race, and finding community. Understanding these perspectives helps us see why cultural connection and honest conversations matter so deeply for adoptees today.